If you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos.
Recipes that I put on the blog, and all it is unsweetened baking chocolate, and you can get like the Hershey's if you want. I do recommend getting a good one like Ghirardelli. It just makes it that much more yummy. And then you can use butter or make it dairy free with coconut oil. So I think we'll do butter and then just get the frosting, and then erythritol, and I usually use a little bit of stevia glycerite, which this is the stevia they found. Do you know why I like stevia glycerite? Stevia glycerite it's thick like a honey, and it's not bitter at all. And so if you've tried stevia and you're thinking, oh, it's just too bitter for me, maybe try that. And you need more than what you would call for stevia. So stevia, you just use a few drops. Stevia glycerite, it would be more like a teaspoon. And then what I tell people is when you're baking, taste the batter. If you're not afraid of raw eggs, I'm not. But taste the batter, and when it bakes, some of the sweetness will bake off. So if it's almost too sweet, it'll probably be okay. But that's only when you're baking, okay? If you're making the brown butter frosting, that's not going to be baked, so you want that to taste just like you want it to. If you're making ice cream, nothing's going to come off of that. It's not baking, so so always taste that, you know? And I always like to add a little bit of salt to my desserts because then you need less sweetener. Salt, cinnamon, vanilla, those are all things that you could use less sweetener for. And did anybody try the ice cream today? I noticed that, I didn't, but I heard that it was very sweet. And as you stop eating them, you need less. So sometimes people criticize me a little bit for making it too sweet. It's like, well, I'm trying to help an array of people. Some people are just coming off of sugar, and they're going to want it sweeter. But then people like you and I, and people, you know, probably a little bit less. So, but the ingredients. So, unsweetened baking cocoa, baking chocolate, not cocoa. Chocolate. You want hard stuff like this, okay? Butter or coconut oil, a little bit of sweetener, and it could be your sweetener of choice. Does anybody use allulose? No, allulose is another one. 5 eggs, and I use a teaspoon of coconut flour. You could probably get away without it, all right? But it just helps to bind everything. But I've done it without coconut flour. I think in Russia we didn't have that. So what I'm going to do is we have this pan hot, and I'm going to put the chocolate on top of it to just start melting it. But I also want the butter in there. Maybe I'll use coconut oil. I don't want to.
We use both.
So I can maybe make a little bit of brown butter, show everybody how to do that.
Frank, did you say 25?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 160, not 180, so they changed it.
So what you're going to do is just start melting that chocolate and the butter together. So I don't know how much that was.
Coconut oil?
That was coconut oil, I think. And this is 250 grams.
Okay.
I don't know how much chocolate that was either. I'm guessing it's enough for 4 of them. But this is kind of how I work in the kitchen. I don't measure a lot, and Craig's like, you need to write stuff down. Yeah, maybe you'll have enough butter to do a little bit of. Yeah.
So each of those tubs is like 2 sticks of butter, roughly.
Okay. And honestly, if you wanted more of a dark chocolate, see, I'm not a big dark chocolate person. You could just use less butter and it would be a darker, denser, more of a milk chocolate. I'm actually not. Who really craves chocolate all the time? Do you know what that usually is?
Magnesium.
Magnesium deficiency, yeah. I must be good with magnesium because chocolate was never my jam. More like a vanilla ice cream.
Yeah.
I know, but everybody likes chocolate, so I write chocolate.
Yeah, not that, but
recipes.
that it's not your jam.
I don't mean to have my back to you. That's fine.
Why is it that women more than men
Magnesium
Maybe
deficiency.
magnesium for all of us.
In women, there's more
Maybe
likely
that's
to be
why we have so many of the women problems.
I wonder if it's menstruation we lose.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
know.
when I get my cravings.
Is
It's
it?
like there is certain times in my cycle, and I don't know. I think it's close to ovulation, or no, maybe it's between ovulation and when I'm actually done my period. You know, right before I get really super tired.
Yeah.
It's true.
Oh,
Good
those
chocolate
hormones.
fruits.
Yeah, so this is really melting good. I could probably just move it. You don't want to burn the chocolate, so I'm just gonna keep stirring till the butter melts. The butter was really, really cold. We even have music. So I was tagged in a funny Twitter thing right before I came down. Someone made a comment about liver or vitamin A, right? Vitamin A, and how whenever you search online for vitamin A, it always lists the vegetarian sources of vitamin A. Nobody ever talks about liver, right? And someone commented on Twitter, I heard that if you have polar bear liver, you're not supposed to eat that because you could die of toxicity. And somebody commented, is that something, say that again?
Is that something you commonly run into?
Polar bear, like who's eating polar bear liver, right? And it was just funny because the guy was serious. He was like, no, really, I don't think you're supposed to eat it. And they're like, oh, shoot, you should have told me that yesterday. And then, yeah, I just ate it.
Just bow hunted the polar bear.
Yeah, right.
What is a polar bear? Just
Actually, my dad has a cool story. He goes caribou hunting up in Alaska. And when you go up there, you usually are on a small plane. And so they took the plane, they got their caribou, they put the caribou near the plane, and they're on water. And they turned their back, and all of a sudden the polar bears were coming to get their meat.
Oh my God.
Trying to tell stories to make this more interesting.
When did you start bow hunting?
I was legally 12.
Okay, so it's something
Yeah.
you do with your family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You usually go through hunter safety, whether you want to hunt or not. It's
Right.
just something everybody does for just respecting the weapons that are in the homes. And my dad, that's probably where I got my working sense from. He owned a plumbing and heating business, and so he worked all the time. I remember, like, Christmas morning, he would leave to, like, go help somebody, and he's like, this little old, we would get sad, and he's like, this little old lady's out of heat, I have to go help. But he works all the time, and that was my way to spend time with him, was to go bow hunting. And I really like it. Being an introvert at heart, it's just quiet, and
And it's in nature.
yes, it's in nature. And it's the best way to feed my family and respect the animal, and this butter just does not want to melt for me.
So you do all the butchery stuff with the animal yourself?
So it's just the butter and the chocolate right now, and it would, we're making 4 batches, so it's taking a while.
And the coconut oil.
And the coconut oil's in there too. Yeah, you can smell that chocolate. So I'm gonna try to break it so it melts faster. I don't want to curdle the chocolate because it kind of ruins it then. That's what I'm concerned about. Just need a knife or something. Does anybody have any questions while I'm cooking? Yeah, even a butter knife.
Do you do all the butcher stuff yourself also
Yeah.
with the animals? Are you, I don't know how to say it in
Oh,
English.
thank you. A knife.
Processing.
You mean dressing it?
Yes.
I do gut it out myself.
You field dress it, but then you send it somewhere else? Or?
Right.
There's paper up on the wall.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, and that's when I think I got the most respect for my son Micah, when he saw me gut it out. But that's also when, I have them sit with me sometimes. It's funny that we're talking about killing deer with a bunch of women. I love it. So whenever the boys sit with me, we'll see deer often, and they're like, shoot it, shoot it. They want me to shoot it, and I'm like, that's not the one, that's not the one. And then when they finally saw how much work, like, it was a whole weekend of work when you gut it out and you're dressing it and all of that. they realized just how gross it is and how long it takes.
And when you say that's not the one, how do you determine which one's the one?
How much work I have, if I have the time, no.
I see. They're saying let's do it now. And you're
Right,
saying,
like if
"I'm
a
not
small
gonna
buck
do it today."
comes by, I'm not going to shoot a small buck,
No.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it's just, like I shot a big doe this year, you know.
Unrelated question, Kim. Coffee, PCOS, what is your theory? It raises the insulin?
What is my theory?
Not your theory, what is your science? I don't know.
Oh,
What is, because,
on average, caffeine will raise blood sugar by 8%.
okay,
8%.
okay.
So,
Better
what-
to give up coffee.
And tea?
I will say any caffeine. I will say that majority of people that are stuck.
Well, there's
we get this-
healing. It's not really about stuck in weight, it's about healing PCOS.
Healing PCOS. So caffeine and sugar increase androgens. And in PCOS, it's high androgens in a female body. You know what I'm saying? And so you want to lower that in any way you can. And so cutting caffeine was just a part of my healing. And it wasn't, I mean, I worked at a coffee shop and drank a lot of it.
Yeah.
Now I will like the smell of it, but if I drink it, what happens? I get nauseous because my blood sugar is changing, and I'm not used to that ever happening. So even like if I have a decaf Americano, which has very little caffeine, I just can't. You know, and I'll maybe notice like acne or something come back. You know,
Did you just say that you get nauseous if the blood sugar raises?
with how it's going up and down, because what goes up must come down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So you get nauseous when it comes down, is that it? Or because
I
I
don't-
get nauseous and I haven't seen the pattern.
You haven't seen the pattern?
I haven't seen what the pattern is, but I do suspect it is after I've had something that's more sweet than it should be.
Oh, it could be that, or do you take a multivitamin or zinc or
I
anything?
do, but not every day. So
Okay, because if you notice you start a multivitamin or take zinc, it could be that you're just adding zinc too fast. That would cause people are like, I can't take this multivitamin; it makes me nauseous. It's usually just that. So this would take a very small amount of time if you did this just in one batch and had like warm room temperature butter, you know. This is almost ready. You could add vanilla. I don't know if I have any. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Salt is a flavor enhancer. Use it in everything. And then I'm going to add my erythritol. So, since I don't know how much that is,
You have to go by taste?
Wing it.
I could probably eyeball it. So how much is it, Craig? It's a cup, right? Cup and a fourth?
A cup and a fourth per
Yeah.
batch,
I'm gonna
but
that.
I would say maybe put 3/4.
Wow.
But this is 4 batches.
yeah.
So
And taste like you said.
Tastes like what?
Yeah.
but with 4 batches. This is kind of how I roll anyway, so.
And then it's
And then
5 eggs per batch.
So 5 eggs. per
20
batch.
eggs.
20 eggs.
I don't know if is that really 4, you think?
I don't know. I can tell when I see it mixed, I'll know. Anybody notice the eggs taste different here than the States?
How are you?
No, you kind of want to, what's nice is having a hand mixer. Because you don't want to curdle the eggs and make scrambled eggs, you know what I'm saying?
You can eat it. Yeah, there's another bowl over there.
I don't want to make too much of a mess.
I'd go to that biggest bowl.
What about the biggest bowl?
Yeah, I would go to the biggest bowl.
I think I'm going to need 2 bowls anyway. By the time I add all those eggs in.
So do you have chickens at home as well?
No, we don't, nobody likes poultry.
Okay. But
No.
for eggs, would
Oh.
you source them from?
Yeah, we have a neighbor that,
Yeah.
but if I sometimes she doesn't have enough for us.
Right.
So I get the Larry Schultz ones.
I'm in Canada. We don't
Oh.
have those. But I do know, like, I'm the crazy lady that drives 45 minutes to this small Italian grocery store that knows now that this crazy woman comes in and buys like 7 dozen eggs once a week.
Yep.
and so they stock for me, but as soon as winter comes,
They stop producing.
right? So, yeah. It's,
And it was cold early.
yeah.
I usually swim every day in August. Every day. This August, I swim 0. It was not warm enough. And then when it was warm enough, I would be traveling like to Canada or something for work.
Is that in Hawaii?
What?
Oh, that was
At least I have Hawaii. I can't complain, right?
I was like,
Oh, we live in Wisconsin. What was so funny is this year in Hawaii, it was very, very cold compared to what it usually is. Like highs of 63. And someone posted on Facebook, please pray for us in Oahu. We're not on Oahu, but they said, pray for us in Oahu because it's only 60 degrees here and nobody owns pants. But it's so true. Like, everybody just, no matter what you do, you wear flip-flops and shorts. And, yeah. First world problems, right? I wonder if they have any vanilla. Do you think they have vanilla? I don't want them to be a pain. Just to take it up a little. So I don't think this was 4 batches worth of chocolate, to tell you the truth.
I don't either.
Didn't look it.
No. That's okay. So this is kind of what you're looking for, is like, you know, this pudding-like texture. I'm not going to add any more eggs, that's for sure. I am going to add maybe just a tablespoon or 2 of coconut flour. And again, you could skip this, but we've adapted to many things already. Don't want to use my teeth like I would at home. Yeah, so when you said about watching my kids cook, I think you mentioned that. What's your name?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
What's your name?
Good.
Dad?
Yes.
Someone made a comment. I think they like the.
Yeah.
I was like, and they were like, "Ew, gross." I was like, "We're all family.
Yeah.
We kiss each other. Like it's all good."
They don't really share sizes for double dipping. Remember? Yeah.
Happens in every home.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were like, "Ew, gross."
I don't know which form, but it's coming.
This is something that I like to do with this. I like to put this in individual ramekins that are greased, and then I cover them, and I will put most of them in the freezer, and I'll just make one for myself because you never really like sweets, and I like to underbake it so it's melty on the inside. But then I have to go through all that trouble to make another one. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. If I made the whole thing, I'd be like another little piece, another little piece, another little piece. Both Craig and I grew up on the Clean Plate Club family thing. And so those are just little tricks that I learned to do.
You freeze it raw though, or you freeze it after you bake
I
it?
freeze it raw.
Okay.
Because it's better freshly baked.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
You can put them in the fridge if you're going to have one tomorrow and stuff, but I was always making so many things that I just didn't want to do that.
And then you just set it out to room temperature before you bake it, or?
Yeah, or like
Or if it's a little cold, it'll just be a little raw inside.
Right. I've
Oh,
wonderful, thank you. We have real vanilla beans. Yeah,
We're in Spain.
of course. So I just want to use a
Yeah,
tiny
just
bit.
drop. Just put the cover back on, hon.
What's
It
the
drops.
to the taste compared to the
It drops through there.
original?
It does?
Yeah.
Say that again?
So what does it do to the sweetness when you've used erythritol so far and you're now adding some stevia?
Well, they didn't
any
open
jerk-
it.
I think
They didn't open it.
snipped first.
Oh, you gotta cut
That's
it
okay.
a little.
It rounds out the sweetness.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes people don't like the taste of one or the other. There's like a little bit of a cooling effect with
Yes.
the erythritol.
Yes.
And so what I do is I'll blend like 3 different ones, like monk fruit, use a little, I would use less erythritol and a little bit of stevia glycerate, a little bit of monk fruit extract, and people don't even notice that it's not. It doesn't have that little aftertaste.
Why not only monk fruit?
What's that?
Why not only monk fruit?
Because you need a bulking agent
When baking.
when baking. Does that make sense? You can't just use a liquid. You can do that with some things, like if you make. Does anybody make my chocolate pudding from the Cleanse book? Do you know what it's made out of?
Is that with eggs?
Yeah.
Is that?
It's with hard-boiled eggs.
Yes.
I know it sounds really weird. What happened was, right after we adopted the boys, we put everything into this. Craig lost his job, and we were like, oh my gosh, like we're gonna lose everything. And my son Kai was a very picky eater. He didn't like any eggs, and I was like, what's the cheapest keto food? Eggs. I was like, somehow I'm gonna get eggs in there, in this little boy's body. And so I decided to have hard-boiled eggs. And this is in the Cleanse book, and it's probably one of the most popular recipes, if you want to write this down. It's 10 hard-boiled eggs, a can of coconut milk, some cocoa powder, like 2-3 tablespoons of cocoa powder, a little bit of cinnamon, your sweetener of choice, and that's where you can just use monk fruit, and then some vanilla. You puree that up. If you have a really powerful blender, it's basically like a mousse. People say if you use just the coconut cream, it's more of a mousse texture. And put it in the fridge, especially if your eggs were warm. Put it in the fridge overnight. Nobody will even guess that it's not like Jell-O pudding. I'm not kidding.
Well, I told my boys it was a chocolate mousse.
And did they like
I didn't
it?
tell them what was in it. Like,
Yeah.
nobody was home when I made it.
Yeah.
And then I said, try it. Like, this chocolate mousse, it's healthy, it's good. And then I said, guess what's in it? But you were like, whoa.
And it's a great way to get protein in, and it's just a different breakfast. I want you to tell me if this is sweet enough. Somebody.
I'm ready.
Yeah, there you go.
Are we all pretending we don't usually do that?
Just because the measurements are so good. Here, this is clean.
All right. What's in here? I was late.
It's just chocolate, a little bit of erythritol. Here you go.
Where do you get
Little sweetener,
It's delicious. No, it's perfect.
because it's gonna bake off.
I think it's perfect.
It's okay for me. It's enough for me, but I generally like less sweet than other people.
I do too.
yeah, what do you
I think it's
Let's have a
perfect.
big
Okay,
two.
I want everybody. I think our
What's that? Eggs and what else?
it's just unsweetened chocolate, eggs, butter,
Coconut oil.
sweetener,
Coconut.
or coconut oil,
I'm
a
very
little
happy.
bit of sweetener,
Delicious.
and just a touch of cocoa powder.
It's perfect.
Where do you get your stevia glycerate? Is that
Amazon. Amazon Prime. I think I get it every month. And I think this is what I'm supposed to pour this into.
Yeah, just 11.
Oh, there are 4?
2.
Oh,
I don't know if I'd need 4 anyway. I'm all about modifications. Don't sweat the small stuff, right?
Okay, good.
I could probably pour this all in here, but
No.
I want to make sure everybody gets some.
Yeah.
Everybody go around the room and say their favorite recipe. Not of mine, but like just keto in general.
Crack slaw.
Crack slaw, that is a good one.
I can eat that every week.
buttered chicken, Indian recipe.
Oh, that is a good one too.
Cabbage, ginger, brown.
If you Google search for crack slaw,
Yes.
Mine is actually your pork rind pancakes, and I know my husband does not agree with me. But that is really good. Like you can never guess that it's
I know.
also a protein. And
That's a good
no,
one.
not flour, because
I know.
that's actually one of my favorites.
Our family favorite is your protein lasagna. In fact, I left a whole tray of it sort of subdivided for my husband, and he ate it for a week after I.
Oh,
I was saying, I go on that every day too.
How do you say it? Steak au poivre in your 30 days?
Oh, yes.
I think that is one of my favorites because it's so easy. It's just, you just fry steak.
Something you should never use something the other word doesn't.
Put this in the oven, then we'll brown some
That's
butter.
coconut flour, but she's using.
With browning butter, I will do. We have some sweetener. Oh, I forgot. She gave me this vanilla bean. I forgot it.
Vanilla brown butter.
We're gonna find some cream cheese. This is the best way. All you need is butter.
So that's like 2 batches right there.
We just have enough to make maybe just one. Yeah, brown butter tastes good on fish. It tastes good on everything. Vegetables. What's that?
Sage. If you put fresh sage
Oh,
in there,
yeah.
it crisps up and it's so yummy.
That's such a good idea
Like on
too.
top of chicken or something.
But it's a little like technique. I can do it with like my eyes closed. Like I'll be running around doing stuff and I can hear it sizzle and I can hear it foam back down and then I'll run back. I do need a clean whisk here.
Not me. I have to babysit it, otherwise
Yeah.
I'll burn it.
There's a black butter. I don't think that's a French technique. I don't think that's good.
Oh, so I'm doing it with the French.
Yeah, right? They say you could add the vanilla bean to that. I forgot to use a vanilla bean.
Oh,
Try it. Why not?
that's true. That could go.
Good.
Why not?
One will have it. So you want like a hot pan, and always start with a bigger pot than what you think you need. Julia Child was right. But this is going to froth up. That's why I'm not doing a double batch, because this will froth up to the point where like you could probably see it. And then you have to let it settle down and keep whisking at that point.
So do you have this on like a medium heat or
Well,
high heat?
it's all the way high. I mean, you could do medium, but I mean, it's all right.
Maria, did you put down somewhere now that you can buy brown butter? I was thinking.
You can. It's Blackyard. It's a name. It's very expensive.
Okay.
It's you might as well just make it yourself. Oh my! Thank you. Maybe I'll do another batch then.
Well, that is a double batch. It's 1 stick per batch.
Okay. But only a few of you have had brown butter before.
Brown butter, Béarnaise, or Hollandaise is amazing.
Why does it get, what is it that gets sweetish? Like
What's that?
The brown butter, it gets
Nutty. Yeah, that
like
caramely.
smell is so
yeah.
Yeah.
Is it just like a caramelization when it browns or what?
I don't know what the chemical
But it,
structure
but it
is.
changes the
I think it's
flavor.
the
It does.
protein that browns.
Yes.
The protein that falls to the bottom that browns.
Yes.
Okay.
And maybe it does caramelize because it changes into some sugar.
Yeah.
But it definitely is.
But someone sent me a brown butter ghee. How is ghee possible
Well,
brown?
it's not because the protein is out.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
It's fake.
Maybe it wasn't true ghee.
I don't think we can burn
Yeah, it was just burnt.
Which is why you can cook the ghee and it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
great mistake.
Everybody say their favorite recipe? I didn't hear everybody. I can hear it. Hear that? Sorry.
She's asking me about favorite recipes.
Just to inspire others. What about like What's your favorite dessert to bring to new people? No, you don't use
I don't
dessert.
do that. Don't do desserts much.
My kid's favorite is chicken strips with chicharrones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and deep fried in water.
Have you ever tried air frying them?
I've never tried it. We don't have air fryer yet.
Okay.
We have so many other guys.
I know, get the girl.
Yeah,
but, so they actually make pork. Let that shut up. Pork dust.
Pork dust.
Yeah, so it's pork rinds all crumbled up for you, and it has bigger and smaller pieces, so you know it makes it like crunchy in spots, and that's the perfect thing. Yeah.
Who makes those?
Who makes those?
Yeah, who makes those?
It's called Pork Hairs, Pork Heirs on Instagram. But if you search pork dust on Amazon, you'll find it.
Can you show us later, Maria? How
I
does
will.
it look? Because I don't know it. I've never done it.
Yeah.
We should see it when it starts
It's
to
not
move, right?
You'll see
Yeah.
it bubble up.
No, just not.
I'll
comes
bring
up?
it right over.
Yeah,
once
you'll
it's
see
done.
it'll kind of foam
Right
up.
now it's just bubbling, but it foams, and you want it to foam, and that's when you want to whisk it. It'll get real quiet when it starts to foam, because you can hear it, right?
Bubbling now.
Yeah, and it's just butter. You put shea
Yep.
butter in.
Smell how sweet it smells already.
Yeah,
It
but I
smells
was
like
afraid that it was burning. No?
Yeah, no. I mean, something is baking, but it's not that.
How come it's not burning? You put butter in a pan?
If you have enough. Yeah.
See how it's
You have
foaming
enough.
up?
See how it foams up?
It's like,
Okay.
but still, it's not browning yet, is it, at all?
It's just
A little
starting
bit.
Just a little bit?
Yeah.
to, just starts to.
It gets real quiet when it's foaming. Yeah. I'll push it real dark though. Some people are moderate. I'll hit it hard. It's better then.
So can I tell my story that I told you the other night about when this recipe got used with my son?
Yeah.
This is kind of cool. My son was taking in grade 11. He was taking a food nutrition class in school, and they were making, of course, all the stuff that we shouldn't have by the Canada Food Guide at home. And they had told him he had to eat whatever they made, and that he would always just sort of push it and give it to somebody else. But they had to design a menu to as a part of an independent study unit. So they had to do appetizer, main course. Don't look how brown it is already. So he had to do appetizer, main course, and dessert. And he went to our recipes, and this was the dessert that he ended up making to go with his independent study unit, without telling anybody at school sort of that this was a healthier option. And he did it was a hit. He did really well, so I thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool. That really makes you happy.
Yeah.
Oh
That's the way
yeah.
I like to cook. I like to cook and not
It'll
throw
keep
anything
browning
away.
until you add stuff to it.
Yeah, you don't say
You just have to know it's good.
So that you can just before you put the sweetener in it, like add sage or some sort of whatever you'd like. I believe this one was clean. This one has butter on it.
Are there more spoons over there?
More spoons?
There's a fork. If there's
Spoons right on the bar table. Father on. I got it.
Oh, she
Says-
has one, Vera.
8 ounce
Fancy.
per, so
So I use like a 1-to-1 ratio with the frosting, butter to cream cheese. Has anybody used Kite Hill cream cheese before? In America, sorry. We have Kite Hill, which is a dairy-free cream cheese, and it's the only dairy-free cream cheese, like cheese thing that I approve of. Really, is because it's made with almond milk. So it's not soy. It's not, and it's pretty good. So this helps if you cream cheese is kind of finicky. You like to have it room temperature and you whisk it, otherwise you might get a little bit of clumpiness, which we might. If you add, I usually add a touch of almond milk, helps it come together a little bit better, but I'm certainly not going to bug them for heavy. You could use heavy cream. Oh, it's coming together though. It's working really good. So I'm going to add just a touch of stevia. This is the stevia spoon. If anybody wants to grab a spoon or a fork just to dip in here and try this, I would eat this without the cake.
She's like,
Unfortunately, only rice milk is that kind of a case.
Oh, no, this is fine. It works
you can
good.
drip it.
I know, yes. And it will thicken up very, very thick.
Because this is used. You just drip it. Okay. Thank you. That's enough.
It will thicken up very thick if you leave it overnight. It won't be thick enough for dinner tonight, but it'll be fine. Oh, yeah. Careful, it's hot. Very, very hot. And I could add the vanilla beans. Anybody want? Should I add that?
Yes.
Yeah, let's use it if we have it.
Anybody else want to try?
Has anybody used a vanilla bean before? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Here you go. Thank you. If you haven't used a vanilla bean, I'll show you a little. This is what a vanilla bean is. We actually order them on Amazon, and they're you want them to be soft if you buy them at the store, like bendable. If they crack, then they're really old. And what you do is you just take your knife and you go down the center of it, like that, and then you kind of push it open with your fingers. Oh God. And you're going to scrape the insides out like that.
Want another spoon? No, I have.
So this is what you end up with. Put that in there. And so maybe we'll have one batch with vanilla bean in it and one without, because I could certainly make more frosting if you for the other
I can
one.
get another vanilla bean.
I could use another pot if we could find one of those. These are plates.
Should we go in the kitchen and wash some? We can wash up some of what you have there.
Well, this is what I need is a pot.
And we should leave it in the pot, or could we transfer that?
I could transfer that to something else.
I see.
Since we're trying the other
I know, right?
That's what I always do.
Here's what I was looking for.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
I was looking for one for.
They don't get cold anywhere else.
And that bottom stuff, that's the best part. See how the darker brown? That's my favorite. So you like the frosting? Is it sweet enough? I'd only put a little bit in there. So I'm just going to rinse this quick and I'm going to do it again.
Sharing is caring. Share this video with your friends.